Hey guys, Comic Book Sponge here. Just a quick interruption before you watch this video. I forgot to put it in at the start and at the end of it. The next review after this is going to be complete random. So at the end of this video I'm going to go to random.org. I'm going to put numbers between, I think it's 1 and 80 I think is the issues I have now of the graphic novel collection. And whatever number comes up on that, that's the one I'm going to review for next time. If anything comes up that I already have done, I'll just do it again straight away. So make sure you stay tuned till the end of the video for that. And I hope you enjoy the video. Hey guys, Comic Book Sponge here. This week's review is going to be the Uncanny X-Men, the Dark Phoenix. When I was looking up kind of classic storylines or storylines that are the best, one that always comes up is this one, and it doesn't fail to impress. It's absolutely brilliant. It's epic on a huge scale, and pretty much what I've read, this is what made the X-Men, or what catapulted them into being as big as they are today. Yeah, so the Dark Phoenix, this is kind of the second part. The first part is with Jean Grey and how she gets her powers to become the Phoenix, and then this one is how she becomes the Dark Phoenix and kind of what happens at the end of it then. I can't really spoil it because this is from the 1980s, and even if you don't know much about comic books like me, but you look up like big storylines or anything, you're going to read what happens and all and this and everything. It's pretty kind of well known what happens. It's done by Chris Claremont and John Byrne. It's brilliant. It doesn't fail to, like, it's gripping. It really is. It's issue 129 to 137. I just want to make sure at the back of it. I was gonna say 135, but it's 137, and it's pretty long. There's no, like, comic books don't give page numbers, but I will just back a little bit. They don't give page numbers, but you can easily split this one into two pieces as well, or into two separate books altogether. So the first book is about Jean kind of getting pushed. I moved this a little bit, make sure I'm in frame. The first one will be more about Jean and the X-Men and how she's kind of feeling a bit like darker with her powers and with the Hellfire Club trying to take over. And then the whole second part is about Lysandra and the consequences of the Dark Phoenix coming around. Yeah, so I'll briefly go over the storyline. I don't want to go into too much detail because if you read it yourself, you're not going to be disappointed. Yeah, so the X-Men they're looking for two more mutants that come up on Cerebro. Cerebro? Is it? I always had trouble pronouncing that word. It is Cerebro or Cerebro? Cerebro. Well, I'm gonna say Cerebro. But yeah, and they find Kitty Pryde and they find the Dazzler. I think it's the debut of the Dazzler. I'm not sure about Kitty Pryde. But and then you have the Hellfire Club who are doing the same thing. They're trying to get Jean's power, or the Phoenix's power even, to use as their own to, like, take over. They're like a high society club, like of the rich and the famous who want power and more wealth and everything. And the guy that's kind of manipulating Jean from the very start is a guy called Mastermind. And in this he uses Jason Wingard, and he uses these illusions where she thinks she's in like the 18th or 17th century, and she thinks she's living memories of her ancestors, and he's like the person she loves, and he keeps manipulating her throughout the whole first half of the book. And in the end, to do all he kind of manipulates her to become their Black Queen, and she turns with them for a little bit, and then with her help, to use her to get the X-Men captured. But it doesn't last too long. Yeah, so Cyclops enters this. It's like a psychic landscape where they're all dressed up in like 17th or 18th century garments, and Mastermind kills him in that. And I think that's what kind of makes Jean, lose it all together. And she kind of cracks out or snaps out of it, and she comes to her senses. But then once the X-Men defeat the Hellfire Club and all, there's massive brawls in it, it kind of the Hellfire. The Hellfire Club are pretty impressive in it. They had really good plans and they stuck to it, you know. But the X-Men were just too firm. Yeah, and once they're defeated, then Jean she can feel the power coming through her, and then she just appears then on the ship as the Phoenix. The ship explodes, and there's a big massive engine. I'll just show you a picture of it, so you can kind of get an idea of what happened. Yeah, right there. Let me try to get it in. So you can see that she, you know, like the whole ship explodes and everything. And that's pretty much the first half of the book. And then the second half, she flies off, like to the other side of the galaxy. Like there's no mess around with this girl. She's so super powerful. She goes off the other side of the galaxy, but she learns that her powers aren't unlimited. You know, she does have a limit on it, and she gets hungry for power. Then starts, you know, to lose it, and she feeds on a whole star. She's like a star, and one of the planets orbiting gets destroyed completely. Yeah, so a passing Imperial ship, Lyssandra's Imperial ship, notices this, and they know that this is kind of the death bringer. They've been warned about this, and they're going to have to do something about it. So Dark Phoenix, I have to make sure I get him right. I don't want to mix them too much up, because they're two separate entities altogether. You know, Jean is like normal Jean Grey with the Phoenix, and then like Dark Phoenix is just badass altogether. So yeah, Dark Phoenix comes back to Earth, then she visits her home, and then the X-Men arrive to try and, you know, convince her to stop, and another battle starts, and the X-Men pretty much get beat again pretty easily by her. And it takes Professor Xavier to put in like a mind lock. Where was it? I had it written down. Oh yeah, he has a psychic duel with her, and he puts like these like psychic circuit breakers to like limit her power. And just when they think they have Jean's powers under control by Professor Xavier, they get teleported to Lyandra's ship, and there's like a council of intergalactic council where they know about Jean's powers and how much of a threat it is to probably to the entire universe, I'd imagine. And they put her, it's pretty much, I don't even think it's like a trial, it's like they know they have to, like, to bring her to death, they have to get rid of her, they have to destroy her. And Professor Xavier, he issues like a fight to the death type of thing, where if the X-Men win, they get to keep Jean and they get to do what they're just try and keep her under control. But if the Imperials win, then they're going to pretty much kill her. So there's like Team X-Men then versus like these Imperial Guard team, where it's pretty much like a space team of like the X-Men, where they're just as powerful if not more, and just as strong as them. And they're fighting on the moon, which is pretty cool, you know. There's limited gravity on it. The X-Men they pretty much get beat bad in it, and it's just Cyclops and Jean going around the end of it. Like the other ones, they're beat, but they're not like dead or anything. Like they still survive, they're still going around on it. But when it's just Jean and Cyclops in the end, they kind of make this last stand attack. And I have to make sure I get this right. I don't want to mess up this part. And just as in the book, it doesn't really show this part. When I was like researching online, it says as Jean thinks Cyclops is dead, but it doesn't really show him getting like hit or anything, or doesn't show Jean even thinking that. But when they make the last stand, Jean just goes crazy and starts to emerge as the Phoenix again. And then as soon as Professor Xavier sees this, he telepathically gets in contact. I got that word right, I couldn't believe it. But he gets in touch with him, and he tells him to attack her straight away while they can. While she's still kind of a little bit weak, she's still getting her powers up. So and just as they have Jean subdued, like her and Cyclops go into this area, this little ruin area, and then Jean activates one of the Kree weapons in there, and she pretty much sets it to kill herself, and that's what happens at the end. And Cyclops kind of he realizes that she had this all planned from the very minute they got onto this planet, onto the moon for the battle. She had a plan from the start. She knew the only real way to keep the Phoenix's power under control is for her to pretty much destroy herself. And then that's it. That's the very end of it. After that, I think there's like one page where like the Watcher talks about it. The Watcher appears. I don't know much about that guy. I know he watches all the plants or something. He says at it. But like there's the last page of it, right there. Or there's the page where she gets killed, with the weapon goes off, and then like the next page is just that's it. Then just the Watcher talking. Now this took me a couple of times to read. I went to the library twice and I read it and I had to finish it at home. It took me a long time to finish it. But it's well worth it. I know I've said it a lot, but it's like you see, like nowadays things you see everything is called classic or legendary way too easily. But I can see why this one is like the granddaddy of them all. Definitely. As for the extras in this book, the extras are really good in this book. This is why I love these books, for people like me who don't know a whole lot about the past, you know, without reading into it. One of the pages there, so let me make sure I get into it. It talks about the X-Men First Class, where you have Cyclops, Iceman, Angel, Beast, and Jean Grey. But Jean Grey is called Marvel Girl, and I didn't know that back then. You know, it says a little bit about him, how, you know, after a while it got cancelled, and then when it got reissued, you had like the second kind of gen X-Men, where you had like Wolverine, Nightcrawler, and all these, and then oh yeah, it was announced as the Giant X-Men, if you can see it on that. And then pretty much when they did the Phoenix, it just catapulted them to comic stardom, I'd imagine. Yeah. So I really hope I didn't butcher this review too much. I'm getting better at reviews. I'm gonna try anyway, I promise. Some of the art in this is brilliant. Like, well, all the art is good, but you know, like some of the pictures that really stick out are, I have them marked here. We have that one first. That's when the Dark Phoenix emerges for the first time. Oh, I'll make sure I get it in. There you go. That's it up. That way. There you go. That part is pretty epic. That was the end of one of the issues, and then when you cut to the next page, this is one of my favorite covers of all time. The next page is the cover of the Uncanny X-Men, and like when she's grabbing the title headline like that and she's crushing it. It's like even the look in her eyes, you know, she's gone. She's after losing it. She's after going completely crazy with power. You know, and when the Phoenix does appear to use her powers in it, there's always like a big backdrop of like a phoenix behind her, and there's one of the oaks where she's like going after one of the sun, or the sun that she destroys. There you go. So yeah, there is some pretty epic drawings in it. I think out of all the collections, I don't think any of them are going to be as epic as the scale of these, or as this. Highly recommended, pretty much by anyone who's ever like read it, or even comic book fans like me who know fuck all. But I hope I didn't butcher this review too much. If you liked it, make sure you hit the like button and leave a comment, let me know what you guys think. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next review. Alright guys, so the last issue I got was The Life and Death of Captain Marvel. It doesn't have a side number. It's just classic 25. So I have to go between 3 and 77, because the first two I did was issue 1. No, whether Spider-Man wasn't issue number 1. I'll just do between 1 and 77 yet. So 1 and 77. So whatever random number comes up on this, that's going to be the review for the next one. I'll press it 3 times just to get a good random amount. So 1, 2, 3. There you go. Number 4. What's number 4? the Ultimates Superhuman, Ultimates number 1 to 6. So that's it. Make sure you stay tuned for the next review. It's going to be the Ultimates Superhuman. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next video.